You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Man, Marcus, have we got a doozy today, bud? I mean, this show is gonna rank up there with the greatest shows on Earth.
Wow.
Right? This show is one that is gonna cut through.
Since Barnum's gone, it might be.
Can
Hopefully.
we steal that? Do we, Wizard? Check into that for us. Is that
Absolutely.
available? So
I already secured it.
let me tell you what. If you're
It's ours
here,
now.
welcome to the greatest show on Earth. Does that sound
like
pretty
it.
good? That's not bad.
I like how that sounds.
I like the sound.
It's
The
all right.
greatest show on Earth that ignites legends. Too much?
Too qualified.
I think we're there, aren't we?
Keep it as the greatest show on earth.
Marcus, say it one time.
No, you got it.
I got it. We're
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
Done. So guess what? If you're here, stand by, because I'm telling you what, the guest we have here is one of my personal heroes. I mean, heroes. Not only just in life, but especially in the SEAL teams, man. This is the guy that I was like, I want to be like that dude, right?
Oh yeah, meat eater, definitely. You're going into a fraternity of guys where we don't really identify ourselves as an individual, even by our skill sets. So you got your picture up on the wall and you're not dead. That's saying something.
All jokes aside, this guy is truly a legend.
In our
Legend.
community. Yeah, in our-
Legend.
Legend.
Period.
If it applies to anyone, it
I
applies to him.
remember the first time, you go into the team, you see his citation, you read it, and I hope, Wizard, we're going to read that at the end of the show, right?
Absolutely.
All right, you see the citation, I read that through, and I'm like, damn, that sounds pretty cool. Then I started, and I went and I researched it, and I was like, holy cow, they left out a gazillion parts of it, man.
Well, that's has an arrow at the bottom. Says point to the back. Yeah. On the back.
It's got an amendum to it.
Page 2. There we go. That's the best thing about when you get into the teams and then into the platoons, man, is you hear the middle of the stories.
Oh, yeah.
And the
The
guys.
true details, right?
Oh yeah, that's the best part, man.
Well, it's like your recovery in and of itself was insane, right?
Oh man.
Much less what happened before that, man. And before we get into that, I just want to give a quick shout out and a quick heads up to everybody, because we have coming back at you, at our fans, the people that just simply love the Patriot Tour.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 nights, 2 night only, this fall, October 19th and 20th. Where are those shows going to be, buddy?
New York and Philly.
Holy cow.
I know.
Holy cow.
It's with great pride that I say backed by popular demand.
Oh, man. Chomping at the bit. And the cool thing is, on New York, October 19th, it'll be at the Town Hall Theater. In Philadelphia, on the 20th, Miriam Theater at the Kimmel Center. If you want to buy tickets, please go to patriottour.com for tickets. You can get VIP tickets to meet all the speakers. And the speakers are Marcus, Taya Kyle, Chad Fleming, and David Goggins. Now, are you fired up to do this one more time, buddy?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. We've been on a break. We've been on a little bit of a break, man. We went real hard in the paint last year, and I said, as a matter of fact, because the kids are back in school, and that's kind of the life I said, if we get New York and Philly, if those ever come across our bow, so to speak, I was like, I'll step back in the breach and I'll call the team up. And they did.
And they got it.
Yeah, we got it.
So,
That's
so don't miss these shows. If you're in the area, you're on the East Coast, I don't care where you are, this is a phenomenal opportunity to see the Patriot Tour, perhaps one last time to go see Marcus Luttrell, Taya Kyle, Chad Fleming, David Goggins, New York City, October 19th, and Philadelphia, October 20th. All right. I think we should just chat a little bit about some of the incredible finer points of this story. I mean, this story is the story of Mike Thornton and Tommy Norris in a platoon doing some high-speed secret squirrel stuff in 1972, right? Mm-hmm. And on October 1st, they were inserted to do this pretty awesome reconnaissance of a coastal North Vietnamese base, right?
Intel and capture. Right?
Intel and capture, potentially, right? So they go in and Mike apparently handpicked two badass South Vietnamese SEAL commandos, and then they had a lieutenant putt with them. And I don't know if Mike or Ty picked him, but the O had to go, right? And so they get inserted, man, off these junks that they were riding, and they go into shore. And remember, back then, dude, there were no Garmin Fortrexes. There was no...
Man, like going behind the veil.
Right, totally. It was all map studies.
As you go inside there, boy.
The one thing they did have was like one of the starlight scopes, and
oh yeah, but still,
that's nothing, right? But so when they hit the beach, Mike knew immediately they had inserted wrong, because apparently one of the vectors that they took one of the ships way offshore, out of the two ships that shot two azimuths, one of them was off by a little bit. And so over those miles of getting to the shore, they hit the wrong space. So they get there, they realize wrong space. They're going to lay up, right? And they found these great sand dunes, right? And all of a sudden, this beach patrol, this VC beach patrol comes walking like, dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum, all right? And so I guess apparently Mike was like told the South Vietnamese lieutenant, said, hey, you take this guy out, gave him the suppressed like 22 or 38 or something he had. Says, you take him out, I'll take the other. They split up. Mike knocks the heck out of his dude, zip ties. The other dude misses this guy. And he gets like 200 meters away, and the South Vietnamese lieutenant stops up and stop or I'll shoot. I want to detain you. Get over here. And the dude whips around. He's got an AK-47.
Yeah.
What do you think happened on that one?
Changes the conversation.
So this dude opens up on the South Vietnamese lieutenant and goes hauling ass into this village up this trail. Well, Mike doesn't even think. He just goes, bam, grabs his weapon, starts hauling ass after him, gets up the trail, drops down, presses two, puts him down, and then all of a sudden notices, dude, 50 guys from that village, 50 VC are hauling ass shooting at him. He goes running back. They get in this perimeter. You got Lieutenant Norris, his radio operator in a minute, up in the middle, put a guy on the backside rear security, one on the left flank, and then Mike's on the point working these dunes in the front. Mm-hmm. And the fighting was so intense, brother. I mean, it was so intense that Mike would literally, they'd pop their little heads up like 4 or 5 meters away. He'd plug one, plug another, plug. I guess he killed like 17 guys like that. And he would roll from one berm to the next, one berm to the next. And they were like, Jesus, how many dudes are we fighting?
Right.
And the whole time now, I guess apparently Lieutenant Norris, Tommy, is on the radio and he's talking to some like JG on one of the destroyers to try and get some call from fire, and the dude had never done it before. Imagine being that new guy. You're hearing the AK fire in the back. Tom's like, can I get this grid right? Bah, 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 just a second. Bah, 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 and it was so close that the guy couldn't figure it out. They weren't getting the fire. Then apparently also now it's really starting to close in. And after Mike rolled around with one berm, and he's reloading his weapon, and a Chi-Com grenade lands right next to him, right? Yeah. Homemade grenade. And listen, I'll tell you what, I'm a personal favorite. I love grenades, right? They're the greatest, coolest thing ever, especially American grenades. You throw them, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, boom, they go off. This thing was a handmade grenade, dude. It was... So it lands next to Mike. He sees it. He looks down and He throws it back over the berm, dude. And he's counting 4 1,000, 5. Guess what, Marcus?
Comes
Comes right back, lands next to him. He picks it up and throws it back again, right? Now it comes back one more time. Boom! Takes 7 pieces of shrapnel up and down his back. Then 3 dudes come running over the berm on him, right, to kill him. He shoots one guy upside down. He falls right next to him, shoots the other 2. They fall back behind the berm. That's how the fighting was going, dude. Because they couldn't get any fight. There was they had a forward observer that was going to try and help coordinate. Nothing. They weren't getting it. Tommy wasn't even getting any help from that guy. Then he called in these junks to come underneath the gunfire. Because now he's like, listen, you got to start doing something. We're hurt. Because they were literally, he said, the cool thing is, he'd be on a horn talking to these clowns. And then all of a sudden, they'd be overrun and he'd be in hand-to-hand. And there's this great video out there. All you got to do is look up Thomas and Thornton and Norris, 2001, from the Academy of Achievement. And the way Tommy talks about it, he's like, one minute I'm trying to get called for, and then, it got a little hairy. Next minute I'm in hand to hand. I'm like, come on, guys, give us some help. Like,
hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
So it keeps going. Well, now, finally, they're not getting any help. And so Tommy makes the call. All right, we got to get out of Dodge. Well, about 400 meters behind him, there's a solo berm. And then a mile one way, the 400 meters, then the tree line's pretty far off one flank. And so they're like, all right, let's bound back to there, and then we'll bound to the water, I guess, and get out of Dodge, or at least whatever. So I guess Mike and his 2 guys get up. They do a 400-meter open space leapfrog, dude. 400. Remember, I'm up. They see me. I'm down. I'm up. I was like, I'm up.
For about a minute.
Yeah. Like,
a guy was going through Buzz. He had an instructor that was a Vietnam guy. He just got in there, and when they were doing it, he, muzzle discipline's real big. You up, they turn around. He said when they got up, turn around to go before they see me, because he was shooting behind him. He was running one way and shooting that thing, and then they go down. None of that high speed. I was like, "What you talking about, man? You get shot at, get the hell out of Dodge." Just laying it down.
Just point it behind you and laying it down.
Man, you're supposed to lay down and give suppressive fire. Well, I was giving suppressive fire, but I ain't laying down.
That's awesome. So they make this giant bound, they lay down, and they're sitting there going big. And now, obviously, it was funny not funny, but right before this, they were looking, and because all the gunfire had happened, that North Vietnamese Army regular base sent reinforcements to the tune of about 75 to 100 guys.
They found their objective.
yeah, they did. It came to them, right? So then the whole tree line opens up. They're coming in from every freaking direction, right? So they get there, and they're going big, and now it's starting to get hairy. Well, the radio operator comes and falls at Tommy's feet, or Mike's feet, and he looks down, and he's like, hey, where's LT? And he looks up, hey, Doway's dead, or Lieutenant's dead. And so without even a second thought, he says, okay, I'll be right back, cover me. And he gets up, and what's he do? 400 meters back across open terrain, back to the dunes, where literally when he came up on the dunes, he said they had surrounded the dunes. They were almost on top of Tommy. He had to kill a ton of guys, bends over, and Lieutenant Norris had been shot through the temple, exit front side, so his whole front left eye and frontal part of his brain had been blown out. And so he looked dead, but Mike's like, I'm bends down, turns to go then. But what he didn't know was just prior to, Tommy had finally gotten a hold of someone on the Newport News, the battleship, and they launched an 8-inch shell, which as soon as Mike starts running off this berm, it hits about 8 meters behind him and throws him 20, 30 feet in the air, dude, right? He lands, he's like, trying to shake it off. And he looks over at Tommy, and Tommy opens his good eye, and he's like, Mike, buddy, imagine the feeling he felt, like, thank God my best friend's not dead, and bends down, picks him up, and what's he do?
400-yard sprint.
Another 400-yard sprint with 125 guys shooting at you. Gets down to the berm, and they're
Dude
like,
on his back,
with a
fragged.
and apparently he got shot when he got down to the berm again. He got shot one more time. So he's been blown up by a grenade, blown up by an 8-inch shell. He's been shot once. His LT's been shot through the head. And apparently the South Vietnamese lieutenant, he had bugged out and left him. And the two guys he picked, they're still going big. So they look at him and they're like, hey, Big Mike, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, we're going to swim for it. What do you think? Like any self-respecting frogman would, right? So they go out to the water, and as they're going out, I guess he trips and falls, and Tommy was on his back. And now Tommy's like lands in the ocean, in the South China Sea, and he's like, hell, he thought I was going to kill him instead of the gunfire. And as he's wading out, because he's still firing his gun as the enemy is closing in. And I guess he put Tommy's head under the water because he wasn't paying attention. And then I guess.
Yeah, right.
Buddy's
Hold on.
Buddy's only half the word.
Has that salt, nasty water running in his cranium.
Right.
I'm drowning. Close your mouth. I am, but I have a huge hole in my face.
So they get out and he situates Tommy, and he had taken off his life vest, put it on Tommy, strapped himself to his back. And then the one of their healthy guys, because the radio operator had taken 2 rounds through his back, through his radio. So he had shrapnel on his back. So he's struggling. One healthy guy, on the way out, the healthy guy gets shot through his butt, through his femur, shattered his femur. Now he can't swim. So Mike puts him on his front, and he's holding on, got Tommy on his back, dragging the other guy. They swim something like 2,000-3,000 meters offshore, right?
2 miles, right? 2 miles.
2 miles off to get out of range of all the fire, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're sitting up. And mind you, just so you know, the Forward Observer had done an overflight, and the ships were like, what do you see? And they're like, everyone's dead. There's nobody left. So those ships, because they started taking some battery fire, they took off. So imagine your ride takes off, dude, as you're swimming out for extract. And so
After you just did a timed run in a conditioning swim.
Right? Exactly. So he gets out there. One more time, they look at Mike and they go, Mike, what are we going to do? He goes, well, we're going to keep swimming. And he swam with those 3 dudes for another 3.5 hours. Totally supporting them, totally swimming. And finally, the junks, there was another a SEAL on board, Woody Woodrow, right? With another SEAL on board, and he said they had patrolled a little bit, picked up that South Vietnamese lieutenant, and he said, no, they're all dead. I saw him. He said, hell no, I didn't see him dead. Kept coming. They finally came up on Mike and everybody. Apparently, it took like 10 guys to get Mike in a boat. He was so exhausted. But my favorite part of the story, the whole thing, man, and this is the thing that really, and all that is, trust me, it's miraculous in every second of it. But this is my favorite part. He didn't quit, man. He took Tommy all the way back to the infirmary and briefed the doc top to bottom on exactly what went down through that whole thing, man. And that's the story.
An incredible story.
Oh, and Tommy's a Medal of Honor recipient. Bat 21, right? So
there was the Bat 21 scenario. It was Lieutenant Colonel Hamilton. It happened in April of 72. Tommy was on a whole different project when they called him off to go rescue. It's the first time that someone won the Medal of Honor, saving another Medal of Honor's life since the Civil War. And that story in and of itself is the greatest personnel recovery in history, in my opinion. So, I mean,
whatever that guy's got burning inside of him.
It's unbelievable. But you know what I love, Marcus? And we talk about this, Wizard, we talk about this all the time. It's guys like that you think about, and because of the standard that they set, right? Mm-hmm. The standard of their commitment to their teammates, what they're willing to do, and just that's the standard by which you got to live your life in the teams in particular, and quite frankly, your life outside of teams. And I know that's even more difficult because other people don't have those standards.
Right. Well, do we need to say anything else about Mike? Or I mean,
Man, I just want to get the guy on and just listen to this dude talk.
Yeah.
What do you think, brother?
Sure.
Hey,
Like being in
man.
the platoon space, man, sitting back and listening to the guys before us tell stories. That's about to happen.
Well, let's make it happen, brother. Wizard, let's get him on. Marcus, brother, Marcus, I gotta tell you, I have been so fired up for this one. When you first said that you were gonna be able to get him on about a year ago, I've been chomping at the bit, man. Because when you not only bring one of your brothers on, one of the people from that was cut from the same cloth, comes from where we come from, right? But is one of the originators.
Design the cloth.
Design the cloth, the manufacturers who his story, his commitment, his level of honor and integrity, man, it is the definition by which I want to wear my trident every day of my life, all day long, brother.
Yeah. No.
On.
It's, you're looking at the father, there's no alpha that is a part of us. But if you stand out, I mean, you got your picture on a SEAL team wall, that's saying something. Most of the guys up there are dead.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? And I grew up with him since I was a boy. I met him right when I was going in. And he can wear that when it's time to talk to young warriors, he'll flip that switch and do that. And then he can turn around and talk to civilians as a
mentor,
man of the people.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that it's funny to watch civilians see him load into us sometimes like he does. Because he's a huge guy.
Yeah.
So, man, he's a wonderful treasure we have in the teams, and I'm glad we got a chance to get him on here.
So what did I say? Let's just bring him on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike Thornton. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the Team Never Quit podcast.
Well, it's my honor, guys. I tell you, I love Marcus and Morgan to death. Like I say, I met them both before they actually went to training, and I said, going through training it's not going to be an easy job. And both those young men did us proud. I'm out here in Coronado, California, having our reunion, and as Marcus was saying, we have a bunch of young men that are standing up to our call, and as I passed the baton on to Marcus passed it on to these kids, and they're doing us proud. So it's my honor to be here with all you great people.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, sir, the way we get started with the TNQ podcast, obviously, because a bunch of knuckle draggers like us, we got to get limbered up. We got to warm up the gray matter upstairs. We got to do some mental iads. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire what we call the Mad Minute at you. Now, I know what in our world what the Mad Minute is, but this is a little different. If you're ready, Marcus is going to fire away at you right now. Are you ready, sir?
Shoot on, buddy. Shoot on.
Or my high school mascot.
High school mascot was the Vikings for us.
Oh, really?
Man, everybody's got such a cool one. That is awesome.
That's cool.
All right, Wizard, fire away.
All right, if you could time travel, would you go forward or backward? Where would you go?
I'd go backwards. I'd like to go back. I think my mentality to go back to like Braveheart, or even you talk about the Vikings and stuff like that. I think that when I look at myself and I think about it, I think, of course, they called me the Mighty Thor when I was in the team, so I guess that's the reason I'd probably go backwards.
I was about to say, brother, you're Viking, all right.
He pretty much is.
Every time when you see him, he's like, you know that. I mean, he was he's gunfighter, right? Straight up warrior.
The gunfighter.
Plain and simple, right? You know what to do? Be swinging an axe somebody's head back in the day,
I
hardcore.
remember the first time.
Double axes.
I remember the first time I was at an East Coast reunion, man. We were out. We were in my first platoon. We were out of Blackwater right when it opened. We went over to the thing, and I remember Mike came strolling through the party, the picnic one day, and I was just like, "Damn, there he is."
Right,
Mike,
man. You got a dude walking around like,
totally,
there he is.
All right, Mike. All right, if you could fight one in an all-out battle to the death, who would it be? Would it be Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, or Arnold Schwarzenegger as Commando?
Well, I know them both. I know Arnold a lot better than I know Rambo, but I tell you, as you and I, we all know, when you get shot, it hurts, right, Marcus? So, but I don't think Rambo ever has any pain, so I probably want to fight him because Commando did feel a little pain every once in a while, it looked like.
All right, good answer.
Yeah, he and I
Only he could come up with that answer.
He and I we got racked in the same spot.
No, you did not.
In that $1 million wound
Right,
that nobody gets $1 million for.
They call that $1 million.
Big old dudes too, man. This plays right to the ass.
Well, hey, as Marcus and all of us know, I wish we were all in the movies and we didn't lose any guys over there. But I tell you, thing is, war is not good. There's nothing good about it, but it is what we have to do to keep our country safe and free for our families and the men and women of this great nation.
Amen.
Oh, yeah,
Go ahead,
somebody's
Marcus,
gonna walk
fire
around.
away.
Yes, sir. Biggest pet peeve.
Uh-oh.
Young teen guys.
Yeah, right. Bud students.
Lord. I was out with a young class not too long ago, and I was sitting in the middle, and somebody said, "What's all those bodies, things around you?" And it wasn't. They said, "Is that seaweed?" And I said, "No, those are Bud students eating sand." So I'm just so proud of how these kids continue to come in, and they're a lot smarter than I ever was, and Marcus and them were a lot smarter than I was, and these kids that come in are even smarter than they are. So it's unbelievable, just the quality of young men that we have still goes to the teams.
It is pretty cool to watch because we're transitioned out too.
Yeah.
We talk about this.
Our
We still
generation.
having the lineage, this many generations in line, still the Vietnam guys. But it is true because the training evolves, and these kids coming in, man, what they're squared away with by the time they get to the team is way far ahead of
the
us.
pipeline's so
Right.
awesome
Never
now.
tell
It's
them
incredible.
that to their face.
No, no.
Buzz was harder when we went through the whole 9 yards. But yeah, he's right, man.
My class was the hardest.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, Wizard, fire away.
All right, sir. Let's have one item from your bucket list that you're yet to accomplish.
I think I've done basically everything on my bucket list. You know,
That's awesome.
it's really funny. The teams gave me a lot of that, being able to do that. A lot of it is, like
Right?
some in Mount McKinley and stuff like that, and going around the world. Of course, I've been to 78 countries in my life, and I saw a lot of stuff, but. I want to go back for the 75th anniversary next year for Normandy. That's I've been to Normandy many times, but I want to be there for the 75th anniversary. And right now we're doing a thing with me and Tommy and Bob Carey. We're going to have all three of the Medal of Honor recipients from Vietnam together to help celebrate like kind of the 50th year
Oh, wow.
of Vietnam. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be
Have you ever
awesome.
I've never met Senator Kerry.
No, I haven't. I
Just
haven't.
Pay our respects, please, when you talk to him.
Absolutely.
I've never seen that guy.
Yeah.
He's
Awesome.
He's a great guy. He's been a good friend of mine for a long since he received it. Well, I knew Bob before he lost his leg and received his medal, but we stay close together. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll have 50 of the young Still families up there with us. So that's a great way to celebrate it.
When is that, sir?
That's going to be at Half Moon Bay. Mark Kendall owns the golf courses up at Half Moon. We have the Ritz-Carlton up there. And we started this about 8 years ago with the Navy SEAL Foundation. At that time, Admiral Callan was the thing, and I got involved with Mark. Mark said, I never served this great nation in a uniform, but I want to serve it now. And we've raised millions of dollars up there for the foundations. So.
Oh,
Wow.
that place is great. That event
Awesome.
is great.
Yeah.
We've been invited up there a couple. So, man, that's
That's going to be one worth going to for
right.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question from Marcus. Fire away, bud.
fine. All right,
Yeah,
sir.
sure.
Favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? Of course, Marcus Luttrell. I mean, who else?
I was going to say,
But
Oh!
I think his sad-faced brother might be up there too. So I
All right, Moody, that's Mojo.
hey, they're both superheroes. I'm so proud of both the guys and what they've done for our nation and continue to do, and how we work with brain trauma guys and stuff like that. And to me, a superhero is somebody who keeps giving back, in which Mark and Morgan both have done continuously. I mean, to me, every day of my life is to give back. I've been very lucky. An old redneck hillbilly from the mountains of South Carolina with no high school education, and what I've been able to do and continue giving back in my and not just back to the team guys, but back to all our men and women in uniform.
Well, sir, that's the perfect segue for us.
Hey, thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah,
It means
that
a lot.
was amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, sir, this is a perfect segue for us. Our listeners come to our show for pretty much one reason, and it's a doozy. It's to come here to hear incredible guests such as yourself get on and share with our listeners stories that help them face adversity, help them overcome these incredible obstacles in their lives. It's just this amazing community that has begun to gather around this show. So if you could, would you please share with our listeners, the millions of people out there listen, your greatest never quit story or stories?
Well, of course, the medal, but that's not about me. It's about, everybody's, we all have good days and we all have bad days. And Dave, it's, the remarkable thing is we have obstacles, and everybody has obstacles, and everybody has their fears and their demons. And there's only one person that can ever stop you, and that's yourself. There's always a way to get over top of it, under it, around it, or something. So you just got to keep the faith. And when I say faith, I mean faith. And don't be afraid, but you got to attack that obstacle. You just can't stand by and look at it. So you got to do something about the obstacles in your life. And I think that talks about all of us in our lifetime. I mean, we all could have given up, but none of us ever gave up. All of us continue to strive. And that's not just in wartime. That's in everyday operations. I mean, and so as I guess of course, Tommy and I talk about this all the time, and we had the great honor to spend some time in the Woodlands with Marcus and a bunch of times, and Tommy and I kind of left there, and he said, the great thing is that we continue to do what we can possibly do. But the thing is, as I tell all these kids, as I was talking to a bunch of those young kids that get ready to start this new class, and there's only one person that makes you quit, and that's yourself. Only one person rings the bell, that's yourself. So don't ever point a thing in some other direction. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, we had many obstacles in time of war. We have many obstacles today in everybody's life. And the problem is we have to surpass those obstacles and face them and move forward with our lives. So that's what it's all about.
That's a great answer, and it's a great initiator for, to when you think about the people out there and who don't have the background, right? Who don't have the training. And for all our listeners, please go to YouTube or to the internet, and you can see Mike tell his story with Tommy Norris, and who he saved his life in order to receive the Medal of Honor. And Tommy Norris, by the way, was also a Medal of Honor winner for conducting one of the greatest personnel recovery missions in the history of our country. Hands down, just one of the most unbelievable feats that I've ever heard or read about, and so proud. But it hadn't happened since the Civil War, where one guy saved a Medal of Honor's life. Is that correct, Mike?
That is correct. That is correct, Dave. And while what I'm no matter what the issues are, or what the thing is that we all have people out there to support I mean, the camaraderie, and that's one great thing about Marcus's book, is about the training we go through and the camaraderie and the fellowship and the love that we have for each other, something deeper. I know my brother one day said, I think you love Tommy more than you love me. And I said, no, I don't love nobody anymore, and I love you. I just been through things with Tommy that you and I've never actually faced together. But I know that if you'd have been there instead of Tommy, we'd have faced it together, because I just know what type of person you are. So,
Yeah, it does give you a level of clarity to see. People say that, I didn't mean to cut you off, sir, but they say, I never go through that. Well, I know you. I went through it, and I know what's behind those eyes, so you can make it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what you have to tell you. You have to be able to, Marcus, you and all you guys back there have made it and persevered and moved forward past the obstacles that I was talking about. So that's the important thing, that no matter what the obstacles are, only you can face them and get by them. So, you feel down, get somebody to lift you up a little bit out there.
I love it. We just recently had Captain Charlie Plum, Hanoi Hilton survivor, 2,103 days on. And he was able to, you start to think about the magnitude of that level of incarceration, and with the sadistic nature of those guards and how horrible they were. But one of the things he talks about, and I've heard you mention a couple times now, was his faith. Could you describe to our listeners how your faith played a role in your career leading through the teams, and then especially, after, that incredible, amazing day where, you were able to save basically 4 people's lives with your actions? Could you talk about your faith a little bit, sir?
Well, I think, I was brought up, my mother, my father are the two greatest parents in the world. My dad gave me a thing called respect and honor and stuff like that. Mother gave me faith, church. Now, my mother's faith and my faith are two different things, but there's something out there a lot greater than any of us are. And, I believe in, there's one great God up there, and I believe that this God protects us and looks over us. Now, why Marcus and I are still alive, I don't know, but somebody knows for a reason, and I don't question it, and I'm just here. So, and as Marcus is just here. So, but there's something about, you just need to keep that faith and that understanding and that belief that, that there's something a lot greater than me or anybody else out there. And so, just be blessed that we have every day to move forward. And, I'm sure Marcus at one time didn't think he'd have this beautiful family he's got, and Morgan the same way. And I'm just blessed every day. And when I wake up, and with the grace of God, hopefully I'll wake up, and I look forward to making something positive with my life, doing something positive for others, because when we die or pass on to wherever we go to, is that I don't worry about how much money you've made or how much you've done this. It's usually about how you've lived your life and how you've helped people. And so that's the faith that I try to continue doing every day of my life.
Amen.
Ain't no luggage racks on Hearst.
I want to back up a little bit, because you had mentioned it, and one of my favorite parts about your story, sir, is the fact that you did grow up in the mountains of South Carolina, without a degree. Can you talk about that transition of what got you into the teams and why you picked going into the SEAL route, and kind of what happened in that time?
Well, Dave, I knew I wanted to join the military because my father was in the Army from 39 to from 37 to 47.
Wow.
And my dad got left in the Philippines. He didn't get out. He was in the Philippines from 1939 to mid 1944.
Oh my!
And he was actually a raider. He was I never knew anything about that. And Daddy said, "Well, after a couple of tours of Vietnam and been wounded a few times. Daddy said, well, I guess you can, since you've been wounded and you've been over there and you understand a little bit about, I guess you and I can talk about it. He said, what war's all about. I said, Daddy, the first time I got shot, I knew exactly what war's all about. There's nothing good about it. It sucks.
Leaves a lasting impression for the rest of your life. Mine,
you said it, Mark. It's a lasting impression. You never forget about that first time. But my father was my hero, my everything, and my mentor. And like I said, he only had a sixth grade education, but he led by respect. And I saw the crazy movie, the Five Sullivan Brothers. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of that. They all went down training. Yeah. And I always said, that sounds like my family. It sounds like my father. Family comes first, and you give up everything for your family. And then I saw that crazy movie with Richard Whitmore, the Navy Frogman. And I was a good swimmer. And
sir, just so you know, I've got that movie poster up in our studio, primarily to honor all the frogmen that came before us right there. I just, it's so awesome that you're telling that.
That's actually Mike's dad fighting that dude with a knife.
But when I went through training, it was called Underwater Demolition Recruit Training. There wasn't no buds until the 70s. And when I graduated, we graduated with 22 guys, and 4 of them got rolled back to the other class. And they said, you and you are going to go to SEAL team. And I said, what the hell's SEAL team? I didn't know what SEAL team was. And that was back in the 60s. And of course, you said yes, sir, and carried on as we all tried to do. And there I found myself in SEAL team, and that's how I got there. And I was the only guy. I had 12 of my classmates at the reunion for the Vietnam reunion, and I was the only one that made it a career. Everybody else got after about 4 years. So I love the military. I don't think, as Marcus and I know, we don't do it for accolades or medals or anything like that. We do it because we care. And the medals mean nothing to me. I mean, I have the great honor, but what means to me is the respect of our SEALs, and then respect me and said, hey, I want to go to a battle with that guy. So that's what's important to Mike Thornton is that I gain the respect of my peers and the people who I operate with.
One of the greatest things that I love watching about every recipient, every Medal of Honor recipient. We had Kyle Carpenter on a few shows back, and we asked him about, the responsibility of wearing that medal and what it means. And I've heard you talk about it and Tommy talk about it, that you don't necessarily wear the medal for yourself at all. It's nothing to do, but it's all the guys that didn't make it back. Can you expound on that a little bit for our listeners and help them understand the meaning of the medal and what it's given, what opportunities it's given you to have greater influence in your life?
Dave, I don't think I deserve the medal. Never will think I deserve the medal. I did what I felt that was necessary, as Marcus did, as we all do, because our camaraderie and our love for our fellow comrades in arms. And Tommy thinks I deserve the medal, and the other guys think I deserve it, but I don't think I deserve it. But people don't know that sometimes it's a little harder to reserve that medal, but that medal belongs to every man and woman that served our great nation before me, served with me as my comrades, and is serving after me, and is serving for all of us right now today. But a lot of people don't know we've lost 2,853,000 who've given the utmost. They gave their lives, and their families will never have the honor to hold them in their arms. And this goes back to that faith. I mean, why I'm still alive, or other people that I know are still alive, I don't know. I don't question it. I just take that thing, as we were talking about a while ago, and being able to hug my children and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren, and so the medal I wear so proudly belongs to those 2,853,000. That's given the utmost. They've given us to enjoy this great freedom called America, this great nation. And as Marcus was talking about the cloth, that's the reason I respect that flag so much and respect this country so much, because as we continue moving forward in life, it doesn't ever get any easier. But just do whatever you possibly can do, and so continue to understand that freedom is not free. Freedom is written in blood, and blood is red, and that's the reason why we need to respect this great nation of ours for all the people who have given the utmost. They've given everything that they could possibly give. So we, you, I, me, Marcus, our kids, and our grandkids, and our great-grandkids can enjoy their lives of freedom.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. One of the things that I always get when I'm out there and people, and I meet people and I'm talking to people, is they all want to know about our training. They all want to understand the magnitude. What happens to the individual? What happens to that kid from South Carolina or from Texas or from Oklahoma when they come together and they're out in that freezing surf? What happens in that process? Could you explain, because back when you went through it was totally secretive. It wasn't out in the open. There wasn't 50,000 books about it or anything like that. Can you explain, some of the core things that really changed in you or were brought out of you when you went through training back in the 60s?
Well, I think a lot of it was my father. He said, "You never quit and you never give up." And of course, we all know that now. I mean, it's preached. It's like a part of the leadership of going through buds now. And the great thing about it is that you do make that camaraderie. You do have that. You meet guys like Hal Kirkendall, and Mike Lacaze, and Wayne Hampton, and Tom Boyhan, and as you go through training, it's just it's such a great feeling. Even today, I'm almost 70 years old. Even today, it gives me that big urge of an adrenaline pump. Even just sitting around and talking to those guys, it's
awesome.
It's kind of like us when we were traveling around. All of us with Rick, we just had a ball. I mean, listening to the young guys, which I considered young back then, and now they're getting old like me. So, it still gives me that surge of adrenaline. It just is unbelievable. I don't know, and that's what you got when you went through training, And it's like I said, we all had obstacles. Everybody faces those obstacles in a different way. And I always knew that, my father said, never quit, never give up. And that was one thing that set in my mind. And my dad always said, if it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. Mm-hmm. And so those are some things that I've always kept in my mind, no matter how bad how bad it was at that period of time. I just remember Daddy said, if it's to be, it's up to me. So if I don't stand up and do it, who's going to? Because nobody else is there but me. So going through training, that was what I understood. But the guys that I graduated with, like Hal and Mike and all those guys, which were outstanding operators in Vietnam, and they got out. They continued with their lives, and they did something special in the civilian side of it. And but they still there today to help support our young men and women in uniform. So it's like I say, it's giving back. And I know Marcus feels this way. It is, as you do. Giving back makes you feel a lot better than not giving at all. So.
Mm.
The best part about our family, our fraternity, right, is that everyone's is still around. Where we have the reunions that bring us together, the new guys have to go out there. And I tell you what, man, when you walk into a room or somewhere or whatever it is, it could be a class or first thing in the morning, all us young guys walk in, you see Mikey in there or one of those guys, man. It's not about what we're fixing to learn throughout the day. I can't wait till the end of the day when that beer lamp is lit and we huddle around them like kindergartners during the teacher reading the story. You're just kind of like, has he started talking yet? Has he opened his mouth yet? You got guys on the phone. Hey, has he started talking yet? I'm on my way. Tell him to hold on, right? And I mean, it just goes. Melanie's favorite thing to do when all the team guys come around, and I catch her doing it, is she'll sit down on one of the couches, pull a chair over in the corner, and just watch us. It's like when the night's winding down and we all come in, it just kicking up.
Yeah.
I mean, and the sun's coming up, right? And we're still telling stories about whatever. And the unique thing about our training that everybody has to go through we all have one thing we can touch that's the same.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what's awesome.
And the amazing part about it is there is a chance that we're going to be able to get into the same stuff he did. And we talked about this the other day. Every team guy, while you're sitting there listening to one of our warfighters talk about a battle, you're like, man, I wish I was there.
Totally. Every time.
Man, I wish
Every
I was
time.
there. Even the worst ones, like, I would have died to have been there. Boy.
Although I'm pretty sure I don't think I wanted to be with Mike and Tommy on that one. That was pretty crazy.
Well, I tell you, Marcus,
Dude, it had to be
when you
epic.
get older in life, you guys, you young guys, or I still consider you young guys, but you need to start reaching out and going to these reunions because I tell you, every time I turn around, there's a friend of mine that is no longer with us, and I wish I'd have been there. It's the reason I tell my kids to hug their mom and dad every time they get a chance because one day they're not going to be there. And, I'm not going to miss too many reunions anymore. I know that for a fact. So,
That's a great point, man.
it's just a camaraderie like you and I get together with Tommy and that time with Aaron Tippin there at, what's the name of that?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and stuff like that, and I yelled out and said, "Go, Aaron!" And he said, "Is that you, Big Mike?" Aaron and I were doing stuff in the '90s together, and he still remembered who I was. So, it's and the thing is, the camaraderie is still there, no matter what your age is. And you call stories, I call them lies, but I tell you, there was a bunch of them flying around this weekend. I tell you that.
Oh man, that's actually the reunions, man. When we get out and we're trying to find ground underneath our own feet by ourselves, and then obviously we've been fighting a war for the last 15 years, so guys are always spread out. But the reunions are the great place, especially if there's a war on and you've been deployed to. You need to show up there so the other guys, the other warfighters can talk to you about it. And then they can hear, and there's always that relation because it's family.
Yep.
You're not embarrassed or scared to talk about anything that you went through in front of these guys because they've done it.
I'll tell you what, one of the proudest days of my whole life, I was at the muster at the museum a few years back, and in the morning, a scout and a swimmer scout from World War II had come up to give some memorabilia, and the guy, was in his 90s, and he couldn't even get out of his car. And I remember it was Chief Watson, Patches Watson, and he goes running, like someone comes up and tells him, hey, this guy's out here. He snaps to, goes running out there. I follow him out, and he, talking to this guy, he gives him a bedroll from when he was out in the Pacific and stuff. And he shows him this remarkable respect and then all of a sudden I'm witnessing this. And then Patches comes over and we go back and he's talking to this, Dick Marcinko was there and some other Vietnams. And I'm listening to them and see their respect for each other. And then some of my buddies who had been over to Iraq, Afghanistan. And it was the most proud moment I'd ever had to watch how we can spread that love and respect across generations. And it's almost like it removes time, right?
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
it's like Marcus said, we're all from the same cloth. It's just, we have a guy that comes up to Half Moon Bay. He's 94 years old. He was in the old UDT team, and the respect that guy gets from my generation, Marcus' generation, your generation, and all the young guys out there, to be able to walk up and talk to him. And I said, hey, guys, go up and shake the guy's hand and thank him for what he's done for us. And he said, well, I don't want to bother him. I said, you're not bothering him. This gives him something to continue that faith and to live on for, So go thank him. Go up and shake his hand,
Sure, it's disrespectful not to. I mean, it's kind of like walking up to the Godfather, Mikey or Gallagher or any of them guys sitting around. And Morgan and I's first reunion, I remember we didn't have any money. And we wrote this sign up to get your picture taken with twin Navy SEALs, $3. I think that's how much the beers were. I didn't work out, but anyways, I was walking over to get a beer, and I ran into a guy.
The hell no, it didn't work out because my wife said she was scared to death to go up and talk to Marcus and Morgan, and so she looked at Morgan and she says, "Do you ever smile?" And he says, "Hell no." So she said, "So
Yeah, not while you're a team guy."
Scared Rainey to death.
Yeah. He's a bit temperamental, but I ran into this guy. I didn't see him. He ran into my chest, and I looked down. He had UDT 1, Bud's Class 1, or on his shirt, and an old UDT hat on. And he was missing an arm and a leg, had a cane, and he looked up at me and over at my name tag, and I almost wanted to cover it up. And he was like, "Hey, meat, go get me a beer," because I'd spilled his. He had it in that one good hand. I was like, "Yes, sir. Roger that. I'm on my way." Because you're always a new guy to somebody.
Totally.
Sound like it might have been old Danny Deaver. Of course, Al Huey and Captain Shively, Commodore Shively. Of course, you've heard his name, and Al Huey, and they named the camp after Al out at Butts. Out at Nyland. And they were great. They were in Class 2 of UDT during Korea, and I had the great honor to work with both those guys. And as like you said, Marcus, it's something that you look up to and you respect. I mean, they're heroes in their own boots. They just continue.
Well, sir, you mentioned that, and when you were talking about going up and to show respect, the fellow who was in his 90s, to go up and say hi to him as a representative, I guess, the younger generation around here.
Newbie.
You sir were that. You sir were that guy. I mean, you, Tommy. I remember in the hallway there was, it had your photo, the citation from the medal. You guys were what we sought to emulate.
Awesome.
Well, I have a grandson. Yeah, I have a grandson, and he lives up in L.A. He's a financial guy, and he came down to my foundation helped support a bunch of SEAL from SEAL Team 5 when we took them up to the Riviera, the golf course up there, and we had wined on them and dined them, and just let them get back in town, and just letting them have a chance to get back within their wives and have a little bit of time off, and so my grandson met a lot of people up there. The guy, one of the younger guys, about his age, I think he's 24. He said, "Why don't you come on down? I'll show you around Coronado." So he goes down there. He calls me and says, "Mike." I said, "What?" He says, "You really are special." I said, "What do you mean?" "I went to all these teams, and they all got your picture in there."
That's so awesome.
And that's the best part about our fraternity, our family, man, is there's the pictures on the walls of the guys who came before us and what they got into. So as you're coming in every day, man, it's a constant reminder of what line you're supposed to walk. And I think when we came in, there wasn't any war zone. There was kind of a gap. Well, and all that means is, man, that we're just spinning, right? Just getting harder and harder in training, and that appetite gets bigger and bigger. So when it finally does kick off and we go on, you guys know what happens, man. We just take it too far, right? Just to kind of get our battle rhythm. But,
I hear you.
Yeah, a tendency to take it a little far, but that's because how far you guys took it, man. It would be an embarrassment for us. I always thought to not carry that line like you did because of how everybody sacrificed so much. And here's the deal with the Medal of Honor for y'all who aren't familiar with that. When you got to understand, all of them up to that, from expert pistol, expert rifle, all the way up to the Navy Cross, you walk around with that thing pretty much, and a lot of people won't even know what you're wearing. Most of the time, they just see your rainbow on your chest, man. But throughout our time, when the Medal of Honor has been around, when somebody walks in, they can be butt naked. Like Sergeant Major Pumley, man, you know, he's during uniform inspection, you walk in butt naked with that ribbon around his neck. What's up? How's this uniform? You know what I'm talking about?
Well,
every time you walk into a room across the military.
I don't see me butt naked anymore. I promise you that. 5 years ago, I swam from Alcatraz to the yacht club there in San Francisco, and we raised like $1,250,000, and I gave the check away to one of the organizations, and the guy said, "Hey, can we take you a picture of in those Speedos?" I said, 15 years ago, I might say yes, but right now, hell no.
I just got out of that cold ass water.
And I shriveled.
Right, yeah. There's nothing left. That's a hardcore swim. I remember, I think it was in early 2000s, we were going to get a chance to do, we were going to attack it from just like the movie The Rock. We were actually going to do that. We were going to go in and take that down, and man, and it got canked at the last minute. But that's, man, the currents and
it's a hell of a swim.
Cold, and you know, sharks and whatever, everything floating around in there, man. That's a gnarly swim.
Yeah, but
good job.
You got to learn. You got to understand the currents and how they do, because you got to use the currents. And when it goes back going out, you better be close to that shoreline, and you can curve yourself right in there. But
right now, you're a great swimmer, right?
Yeah, I was a good swimmer. Actually, I had dyslexia. You and I have talked about this before, and I just thought I was stupid, but I was a great athlete, and I was a good swimmer, a good runner, and myself and Mike Lacaze held the record for quite a while for the obstacle course until a guy by the name of Baird came through, and he was on the SISM team and used to train. And I don't know who has a record there anymore, but I had dyslexia real bad, and I had to get a 10-point waiver, even try to get it in the teams because I wasn't smart enough.
That's
so
awesome.
They must have been hurt. They must have been hurting for soldiers back then. Is all I can say.
Well, some of us have to go out, and there's two ways to get educated. There's the conventional way through schools and college, and that way when you get out, you have your diploma and you stand in front of somebody, they know you're educated, right? And then there's the education of life, University of Hard Knocks, right? That's what Bud said.
Yeah,
and then as you progress through there, you learn everything the hard way, but boy, it's in there.
I think Mike's got a triple doctorate in hard.
Yeah, PhD in it.
And like life lessons learned.
Yeah.
When you're talking about swimming,
it's all good. It's all good.
Amen.
You know, Marcus, the other day I was with Jocko.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Mikey Mansour, and when you think about, you know, and what a great young man he was, and it brings back, because, like I say, every time we lose a SEAL, it takes a little piece of my heart, and because I spend so much time out in Coronado talking to the new kids and meeting them, and trying to inspire them, you know. And I remember when I talked to Mikey and before we had lost him, and it's you know, you're talking about great qualities of the guys that we've known and we've lost, and it's just something super impressive about it. So as you and I talk about the Gold Star mothers and fathers and Gold Star families, and let's don't forget about those guys. Let's talk highly about their sacrifices, as we were talking about earlier. So,
absolutely.
You know, and that's what I love about what you're doing out there, and what you're doing with your foundation, and you aren't forgetting those people, and God bless you for doing that, my friend.
Oh, well, I learned all that from watching y'all, that kind of thing. I mean, and I know you remember this, but I've never talked about it to these guys. He was the first person I called when I got back to the world.
Really?
Yeah, as soon as I got out of the hospital in Germany and landed in Hawaii, my first night back to Morgan and I's place, I checked into the team and come home and called him.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, what do I do? He's like, this is about to get heavy. You're about to get catapulted into the... And they were telling me this, but that's why the Admiral pulled me over and then sent me back over, so to give me all that top cover. But yeah, I called Mikey. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what to do. I grew up with him, you know. The first thing, and he's kind of one of our kids. And it's funny, you were talking about education, not being smart. I've been standing there when you were debriefing presidents. Multiple. And governors and heads of state, and you get invited to the White House more than anybody I know. So from being from the dirty South and cutting out early in high school, that's just because, man, it was holding you back, I guess.
Well,
you walked one hell of a line, man.
You've done me proud, and you consider doing everybody else proud, buddy. And so whatever I had to do with it, God bless it, and take it. And as you continue on with that baton, and you continue on doing everything you do with your foundation and how you help the families out there, God bless you. And they're not just the families, the kids that come back and they're looking for that support. And that's what it's all about. Is everybody giving back to make a better life for everybody.
Amen. Well, sir, before we wrap up with you, I want to direct, this question, your answer, directly to our listeners, the people out there that right now are struggling with a big issue. They're in their combat of life. They're getting crushed by that negative insurgency. They can't get out of their own heads. They're just getting the beat down. What are some things that you could recommend that they could do right off the bat to give them that break, give them that lull, to kickstart that fire and start preparing themselves, start growing and getting better in order to be able to have that resilience and stay in the fight and to surround themselves with a better team? What would you recommend to them?
Well, we never had a suicide all the times I was in the teams, and then we have them now. But I tell a team guy, if it's just a team guy or any guy, if you see a red flag, identify the red flag and try to get him help. We need to get out there and help these people, and they're struggling. And if you're a good teammate, and when I say teammate, I don't care if you're in SEAL team or in the Marine Corps or Air Force or anything like that, because as we all know, that it's happening everywhere. And our true friend is there for the hard times and the good times. A true friend is there to have your back, no matter what the odds are, or no matter what the circumstances are. A true friend is somebody that's going to stand up and help you. So if you got a problem, or you somebody out there listening to this right now, if you see somebody that's got a problem, and there's a major issue, be a friend, help him, or help her, or stand up and let it be known, and that's the way. You're saving somebody's life that way.
Amen. Well, sir, I just can't thank you enough. It's such an honor to have you on with us. It's just I've been looking forward to this, and you are everything that I've ever heard and a whole lot more, and I know you hate hearing that, but thank you for being the incredible inspiration and for establishing what the standard is for the SEAL teams, and in particular for me, and I just am so proud and privileged that you could be on with us. Thank you so much.
Well, Dave, it's my honor. Marcus, I love you, brother, and
love you, brother.
Ugly brother, yours the thing, and remember to keep that Superman shirt on there, Marcus.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
Been an honor.
Bye-bye. Dude, I'm telling you right now, brother, that could have been what an honor, and how humble can a guy like that, who's one of the, not only the fact that he's got that medal, but he's got multiple combat tours of Vietnam. Back when they do a year at a time over there, right?
Oh yeah, Vietnam, man, disappear into the jungle.
Like they just were like, hey, you guys go out to the Delta, and when you're done, come back and we'll process you.
See if you can get comms while you're out there.
Yeah.
Just asking. Roger that. We'll check, see if we can get some ditch the radio right in there, right? Triple canopy shooting a comm shot through there.
Right.
Happening.
And he was in Mac v. SOG too, wasn't he?
25 years, enlisted officer, Vietnam, comes plugging out of there from the dirty South, barely got a high school education, man, and just tears a hole in it. He's a big dude, too, man. Just a war fighter.
He's huge.
And the greatest part about it, he gets out and he's still walking that line and giving back and motivating people to come into the military, special force. I'll never forget, man, first time I ever met him, the guy who brought me in, my recruiter was a SEAL,
Right.
Bo Walsh. Love you, brother. Man, he's like a $175 and just hard as nails.
Right.
I remember when I walked in and saw him, I was like, wait, you're the SEAL? That kind of deal. He didn't know, right? He would work me like a borrowed mule, man. Just run, swim, just
Crushing you.
Man. And then he goes, hey, one of our Medal of Honor recipients is giving a talk. I want to take you down and meet him. I was like, oh, sure, roger that. So we walk in, he gets up, man, he does his deal. I'm just kind of enamored with the whole
Yeah.
jaw drop.
Starry-eyed,
Right.
yeah.
And then we walk up, and him and Bo just kind of started talking shop. He had his trident on and all that.
Right.
And then I was just standing there. He didn't even really pay attention to me. And then he goes, hey, this is one of my recruits. He's coming in. He's going to Buds. And you got anything to say to him? He's like, if I was an instructor, you'd quit. That's what he told me.
That's it.
Yeah.
You'll quit.
Yeah, you'll quit. If I was an instructor, you'd quit.
How'd that make you feel?
Oh, I was like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Probably right.
You're probably right,
I
sir.
don't, what are you going to say? No, I dare you.
Yeah.
That's
Mike
the perfect
Thornton.
attitude.
Hey, you got this guy coming up. I don't even want him
Oh,
to ring in.
dude.
You know what I mean?
In the unlikely event that you even survive the first day, I love making those calls back to Buds too.
Or when you get that one of our buddies that calls up, like, hey, you know a guy named, because he's dropping the guys I mentor out here. I'm like, when you get there, do not say my name. Don't say we're buddies. I was like, 'cause that is a one-way ticket for a beatdown.
Dude, I've put two guys through over the last few years, and I always call out there and see who's out there, and I say,
sure.
hey, this is the one, this is his name, this is what you gotta hammer the snot out of him.
Yeah.
The worst one I ever got, so it was Friday before Hell Week started, and my boat crew leader, his dad was the Admiral Smith.
Smith?
Yeah.
You had Smith in your class?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And so we're all standing up there at attention. He's coming down. He starts down with a Smurf crew, and we were like the second boat crew. And he comes up, and he stops right in front of us, and he says, all right, gentlemen, gives a good speech, and he looks at the instructors. All right, he goes, all right, instructors, just, make sure you give these boys what they need. And he says, and if you could, I'd like you to take it easy on my son and his boat crew.
Thanks, Dad.
And he smiles, dude, all the instructors were just like, brother,
it's like throwing a piece of meat into a cage full
bro,
of.
we took a beat down from breakout till Tuesday morning. It was, dude.
As if you don't get enough attention.
They would search us out. They were the Midnight Crazy Crew.
Oh, yeah.
They would search. Where's Smith? Where's Smith's boat crew? Over here.
They all quit, sir. Yeah, they're over there.
Right.
Take off
right.
running. Not like we could disappear with a big boat on
Yeah,
our head, right?
You ain't going anywhere. Oh my God.
That's the best is when the days start kicking down towards the end, man, and you think you're stealthy. You're like, all right, everybody hide right here.
And you literally like
you're riding in the middle of the street.
You just
and they
roll
see us,
over.
and move your boot under. Oh no, there's no way they can see us.
No.
Parked next to a Chevy.
We're good.
You get so stupid, you go back to like when you were a kid. If I cover my eyes, no one
Close
can
my eyes
see
and
me.
stand still. They won't. Or when you're in the water paddling and no one's paddles hitting the water.
Oh,
The surf has actually pushed you back to the
You're going
beach.
back.
totally.
You've got rubber on sand, but you think you're paddling.
Yeah, you're still on
Save your life.
in the beachfront.
Nobody realizes it though.
Oh my
Just instructor
God.
just standing there looking at you. What's going on here? Putting out one.
And what's awesome is that has been going on since 1943. You know what I mean?
Dude,
And to be able to bring
making memories since 1943.
making
right?
memories in the sand in Hell Week since 1943. And think, like he was saying, think about the men that we know, that we've had the privilege to serve with, or that served before us, or even the young men that are serving right now, who are all cut from that cloth, and what they're doing for this great nation. I mean, what a privilege.
I know you both have met him before, but I can't say enough about it. And I try to touch on this, but then I felt like I couldn't express it with words, that how powerful of an influence he was when I was coming up.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, right there in the hallway, we've got in the case. He's got his citation. How many times? It's one big. This is before the new buildings and all that shit. This is one long hallway in the team there. So you always walk past this case. I can't count the number of times, and it really the only equivalence, and I know this is a little outlandish to do, is those "What would Jesus do" kind of bracelets that was popular. I don't know if they still do that or not, but. And obviously, Mike Thornton is not Jesus. But
he'll be the first to admit that.
It's one of those, when there was something questionable in your mind in the teams, of what should I do? Or, this is terrible. I won't do anything but this. That shit would come into my head. What would these guys do?
Yeah.
And it pushes you over the edge. And for me, being able to talk to him just now
it's priceless.
Oh, well, that's why we put those up. And them heart every day sucks, right? And you come walking down, you have to go through that hallway. You're right. Every time, you stare at the picture and then you reread it and like, I don't remember reading that the first time. I read it 500 times kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then you just keep, it's like those guys are watching over you.
Making sure you cross that quarter deck.
They're in the line,
yeah,
buddy.
Man. And so
what came before you and made what you're standing in.
And by contrast, you know what you've also got there? You've got in a separate space, there would be, like the president's picture, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of the Navy.
Bosses.
Nowhere even near the same weight as the guys in that case, at least for me.
No, I feel
nowhere close.
You know where I feel that the most, hands down right now, is going into Danny's now, out in Coronado, and when before the war started, Danny's was you just walk in there to get crazy, but now you walk in there and every single one of our friends' faces are on that wall, and they're still going up. I mean, they're still going up all the time. And so you walk in there now, and there's a reverence that enhanced that connection that I had, to another level. Because, like you're saying, you see certain things that impact you. They cut through all the noise in your life to spark something deeper, a deeper rooted connection and commitment to something that's bigger than yourself. And for me, that's Danny's walking into that shrine and seeing all our brothers right there.
Oh, and go in and have a beer with all our boys.
Yeah.
At any given time.
Totally. Absolutely.
There doesn't have to be another team guy in there, really. And we're not supposed to drink alone, right? So you walk in, I ain't drinking alone. Because you get that shot of that whiskey or that beer and put it on the, we do put it on the bar the entire night for them. And then the rest of the night, man, you can just sit in there and have a conversation. I bet civilians think we're nuts because they're sitting there talking out loud to the guys on the wall. Hey, you remember that?
They think we're nuts anyways, bud.
Right. Well, what are you doing in here? This is a crazy house anyways.
Exactly. Well, listen, if this is your first show, man, what a treat that you've had to be able to experience the knowledge and tutelage of one of the greatest frogmen who's ever lived, quite frankly, in my mind. And, we told the story in the beginning, and hopefully we did it justice for you. But listening to Mike and his humility and the way he talked about serving others, doing things not for himself, but for his teammates, as a friend for others, hopefully that set in. And hopefully that's what you needed to hear in your life and going through your hard time. Hopefully that was the spark. That was the spark that's going to ignite that fire in your gut to truly start living a never quit life, because you have it. And it doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, where you grew up, how educated you are. None of that matters. The only thing that truly matters with the never quit mindset is that you serve others and you just don't quit on your teammates, on your family, on yourself. I just want to thank God and Christ. I want to thank my beautiful children. I want to thank my family and friends. But most of all, I want to thank Mike Thornton. I want to thank all the Vietnam vets, SEAL vets. I want to thank everybody, every team guy that's come before me, all the team guys that are in right now downrange, all my friends, for allowing me to be part of the greatest brotherhood that's ever lived, in my opinion. And I want to tell the two of you how thankful I am to be here sitting next to you, to be able to do this show, to share our knowledge and to inspire all our listeners. And thank you, listeners, for keep coming back. Without you, we wouldn't even be here. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, because I am truly privileged. It is an honor to be able to wear the trident among you.
Same here, buddy.
Yeah, thanks to everybody, man, for bringing us back onto the microphone and listening to us. And Mikey, buddy, god dang, it's been so cool to walk on the line that you walked before us, coming from nothing, right? And then now he gets called up to the White House and travels the world. America, boy, something else, ain't it? But you're right, boy, being in that fraternity, man, that's the coolest thing ever. So thanks to all the brothers who stepped up to walk that line to keep that thing going down, and to every American out there for letting us do it. I mean, seriously, thanks for letting us do that. I mean, y'all come up and thank us for our service, but seriously, thank you for letting us do it, because it was an honor to walk among them, right?
Amen.
I mean, this dude's story's so heavy, it's not even funny, right? And just to be able to, go back and forth with stories that are relative to each other is something. And having the opportunity to do that was the most amazing thing that that these eyes have ever seen or done. So thank y'all for that.
And we'll read the citation. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while participating in a daring operation against enemy forces, Petty Officer Thornton, as Assistant U.S. Navy Advisor, along with a U.S. Navy Lieutenant serving as Senior Advisor, accompanied a 3-man Vietnamese Navy SEAL patrol on an intelligence gathering and prisoner capture operation against an enemy-occupied naval river base. Launched from a Vietnamese Navy junk in a rubber boat, the patrol reached land and continued on foot toward its objective when it suddenly came under heavy fire from a numerically superior force. The patrol called in naval gunfire support and then engaged the enemy in a fierce firefight, accounting for many enemy casualties before moving back to the waterline to prevent encirclement. Upon learning that the senior advisor had been hit by enemy fire and was believed to be dead, Petty Officer Thornton returned through a hail of fire to the lieutenant's last position, quickly disposed of 2 enemy soldiers about to overrun the position, and succeeded in removing the seriously wounded and unconscious senior naval advisor to the water's edge. He then inflated the lieutenant's life jacket and towed him seaward for approximately 2 hours until picked up by a support craft. By his extraordinary courage and perseverance, Petty Officer Thornton was directly responsible for saving the life of his superior officer and enabling the safe extraction of all patrol members, thereby upholding the highest traditions of U.S. naval service.
Never quit. Team Never Quit Radio.